Good afternoon, everyone. I think in the afternoon we started our presentation from European countries. You learn about the scope of the next move of the European member state, and then we got to hear more and learn more about health guidelines from our colleague from the US. And we just finished our friends from Latin America, what they are doing there. And that's why, since I'm from Thailand, I just would like to share some experience and also some information about Thailand and also what we are doing in the other part of the world. Today is my first time to join these events. And from yesterday, had an opportunity to have a dialogue and talk with friends and colleagues and new friends. I just learned that these meetings have a wide range of participants, speakers, and have a different backgrounds. And that's why from this morning, we have heard about, let's say, all the metabolites or the technical issues, and now it's more in the afternoon about the policies and also the, let's say, the work are implementing at the country level or at the regional level. Okay. We know that during the last 2 years since the COVID-19 outbreak, we have a health problem. We have a health crisis. And then just this year, when we have a conflict between Russia and Ukraine, it brings us to food crisis that we are taught everywhere right now, all the meetings, talk about the global food securities, talk about to make sure that we have enough food to feed our people. But in the meantime, the conflict also will bring us, we don't know when we'll stop. And that's why we are living in the uncertainties. And that's why all the countries, all the government talking, because let's say I think last few months at FAO in Rome, when we have the special council meeting, all the country, all the members say that, okay, we will continue our trade. We will continue to export our food to other countries. But immediately after the return home, all the new measures, we will stop exporting our products. We will to make sure that we will have enough food to feed ourselves in domestically. And that's why I think all the issues that we have of let's say dealing with the food crisis, energy crisis, and water and soil crisis is one of the key elements that we need to make sure that our government, our people, and all of you who are scientists are aware of these issues. Since the, let's say, the conflict started in February, and also our colleagues from FAO also did studies and also have the modeling of the scenarios of the food securities in different countries around the world. If we go with the moderate scenario, we can see that the yellow one is, let's say, have less problem of the food insecurities, but the dark blue is likely to have the food insecurities or food crisis in those countries. But if the situation is getting worse, what will happen? You can see that in several parts of the world, especially in Africa, in South Asia, Central Asia, and some part in Latin America, we'll have a big problem of food insecurities. But anyway, some of you who come from Europe or some part in Asia, you are secure. But we don't know if the situation is getting worse. We may face the problem. And that's why right now, in terms of the global policies and also geopolitics, impacting all of us. And also, I think all the small countries, even though my countries, we are in the situation, it's not easy how to go because the world is really separate. And that's why right now, the situations about the global food securities is also linked to the geopolitics. And that's why in case of the food system transformations, we know that it's our challenge. Because they have a lot of questions that we have to respond. we have a lot of questions that we have to address and also to fix those problems in terms of greenhouse gas emissions, or in terms of land degradations, in terms of health issues, food securities, and also the income. Because right now, for example, like I'm not sure that I have. Okay. For example, right now we know that the food that we are consuming every day is just produced from some major crops. And right now, in terms of biodiversities and diversities of foods is less and less. And we rely on just only some crops or some types of food. And also, as colleagues from Latin America just mentioned, we are also have a problem of children's or stunnings and overweight and obesity. And that's why I think this one part of the world have a problem of obesity, and the other part have a problem of stunning. The world is so ridiculous. And that's why last year, all of you are so excited with the UN Food System Summit. We want to see what will change after the UN Food System Summit. It's not only when we finish the meeting, everyone, okay, go home. And everything is just goes the same as it is. We want to see the real change. We want to see the real commitment and actions by the countries. But not only government play a role, because all of you as scientists, all of you as a private sectors, each of us have duty. And we need to continue our work to make sure that we can transform our food system, to make sure that everyone is fit well. We come with the action track. But as you know that all the action track, whatever we're talking about, nourishing all people, boosting nature-based solution or nature positive productions, advancing equitable livelihoods, and so on. We know that all the key words need to be translated into action, need to be translated into the national policy, national program, and done by government, private sectors, and also our producers. And that's why all the issue is very, very challenging. And also my colleagues just mentioned about the four better. It's beautiful. The pictures also nice. But when we're talking about the action and implementation and who's going to invest to make sure that we will have a better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life, how to? It's still a lot of questions that we need to answer. And now a lot of debate about the lab-based food, plant-based foods, and also with the naturally produced food, generative agricultures. Have a lot of debate. And we know that once the global policy is changed, the direction is changed, our producers, our farmers also have to change the way that they will produce. And we as a consumers also have to change the way of we consume as well. And that's why all the issues, we need science. We need scientists to help us to prove. And also the issues of the future food, innovative, novel food, or even though we're talking about the insects, edible insects for food and feed securities, is also another issues that we are discussing. And also European Union are now have a lot of new regulation regarding edible insects. And that's why when we're talking about the food security, we're talking about security itself to ensure all people around the world access to sufficient food. And also when we talk about the food safety is one of the components that we need to make sure that people have healthy, nutritious, and also all the food is safe. And also we need to empower our people to make sure that they have their own choice. They need food sovereignty. Because now the issues of the seed is also another issue that farmers, they have no choice. It's up to the company. It's up to the big company that they're going to produce the new hybrid seed and so on. And that's why the issues, we need to bring science and policy together. We need to strengthen the science and policy interface to make sure that, because sometimes we know that science is very difficult to understand And public, let's say general people don't understand what does it mean. And that's why all the science need to be translated to practical policies. But sometimes the global policies also is a global policy, and that's why it's floating up somewhere in the air. If the government do not take those global policies and translate it into actions at the country level, and that's why we need to help to strengthen this interface. And we need action. Action is not done by the government, but by all of us. Whatever, whoever you are, you have the duties to make sure that the portion that you are responsible for, you need to do something. I give you an example. This one is the work. We know that after the green revolutions, our forest is like this. No more tree left because all people cut all the trees in the forest and turn to agriculture, to maize, to whatever, to corn and so on. And that's why during the past decades in Thailand and also some other part in Southeast Asia, we need to make sure that we're discussing about sufficiency economy philosophies, which as a vehicle to bring us to our SDG. And you can see before and after how we can encourage farmers in the rural areas to understand the way that they produce, to understand the way that they work for agriculture, to make sure that people, agriculture and forests can stay together and you can produce enough food. You can have a community-based food securities. People can reduce the area that they use for their own agricultures, but they still can have the same income. And also they can have more forest or community forest in their areas. And also we need to balance between human, soil, water, and forest. Because in Asia, some farmers have no land, or even though have a small plot of land for their agriculture, and they need to know how to make sure that they can produce with the limited land. And also the need to learn how to stop soil erosion, keep nature's natural humus, and also to harvest the rain waters. And that's why once they change, they also can bring sustainabilities of their food productions. They can have diversities of healthy food and also nutrition for themselves. And we need to make sure that we can have a sustainable food system at the local level and start from the household level. If we want to see the global food securities, it has to start from the ground, from the households. And also we can scale up and expand the ideas and the concept to other part of the world. And we need network, we need partnership, because one person, you can do small part, but once you can expand your network, you can do more and more. And that's why the 9 concept of sufficiency economy has been, it is let's say a key drivers to help us. We start the concept with sufficiency to eat, sufficient to eat, sufficient to use, sufficient to live, and sufficient for better livelihood and forest. Once we have enough, we can give and offer to others in our families. And when we have more, we also can share and donate to others. But when we have more and more, we also can start our trade and sell our products to others, or even though we have the regional trade or the trade with others communities. And if we want to see the impact everywhere, we need network and partner. As when many countries have such a kind of agricultural cooperatives, you can expand all the new ideas to others part of the world. And that's why I use this slide at the end of my talk, because I know that ILSI just have a new logo. And that's why I would like to end with this slide, because we have a science. As I mentioned, we need to strengthen the science and policy interface. The science will tell us the fact. Science tells us the knowledge, what we learn, what we invent. But we need the political commitment. We need policy makers, decision makers to help us to change those policies of science to be the policy, the national policy, global policies, or even the local policies. But we need all of us to take actions. And we need a good partnership among all the stakeholders to work together and to make sure that the global policies and national policies happen at the country level, at the ground level, and show us the outcome and output of those. And then we need to monitor, we need to review what we achieve. And we also need all the scientists to help us to revisit and review the action that we done. And then it comes to science again, because science will help us to understand we go to the direction, the right directions or the wrong directions. And if we did something wrong, or even though our policy is wrong, we need to change, when we need to improve. And that's why I think the meeting today, to bring all the colleagues and also all the multi-stakeholders to meet and also to discuss, I think is very important. And to make sure the new logo of the ILSI will be a good example to make sure that we can bring the concept and the work of the ILSI to be part of the, let's say, the driver for sustainable development goal, and also people is centers for our development. Thank you very much.